Hello, Crystal Palace. Welcome to the Upper Norwood Library Hub's Library Live Lunch. This is a place to share positive and useful information about the local community. Maybe find out about bits of the community in more depth and try to keep us all connected during this time. So my guest today is Tanja Raaste, who's been running our Edible Garden series on the live stream and is here today to enthuse us about networking. Tanja, thanks so much for joining me. Tell us a bit about you and your background.
Hi, Eleanor. Very nice to be back again in this different capacity. So I'm originally from Finland. And this is important. Why? Because the Finns are not known to be kind of the most outgoing of people. Usually they're quite shy, a little bit reserved. You know, they like the personal space and all of that kind of stuff. And, you know, I've moved around, so I'm not a typical Finn, but some of that shyness kind of always remained for a long, long time. So that was, I mean, we'll talk about it later, but that was kind of what was one of my first hurdles to get over when I started building networks for myself.
Mm-hmm. And what does networking mean for you?
So I guess for a long time, it just kind of meant knowing people.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized, I had kind of this epiphany where I realized, well, that's not really enough. It needs to be a professional network it's kind of like a professional community that is mine. So my professional community is going to look completely different to yours, even if we're in the same industry, because we spark with different people. So it's about finding like a really exciting group of people for yourself.
Awesome. Oh, I love that description. That's brilliant. Just before we carry on, I'm just going to say hello to the people who are watching. Facebook seems to be having interesting changes at the moment. So we can't necessarily see when you join us. So please do say hello, drop us a comment. If you have any questions as well for Tanja, please do put them on whatever social media platform you're on, and we will try and answer them as we go. But welcome and thank you for joining us. So Tanja, the really big question about networking, I think, for me is just why does it strike fear into so many hearts? Because it certainly does mine, or it has done in the past.
Well, absolutely, and it kind of struck fear into mine as well, partly because it's got such a bad image. It's taught really badly, you know, like if you see a management book or something like that, it's all about, you know, sharp suits and pushing your business cards at people, usually in a kind of cringy salesy situation. Sometimes, like, basically, it feels fake. It always felt fake to me. I felt like I couldn't be me. I had to be some kind of networking person. And that just doesn't work in the long run. It really just doesn't. You end up kind of going, oh, networking's not for me. Don't want to do it. So, I mean, I think this whole thing of getting one up on somebody else by networking, you know, I think people are nice mostly. I don't think we want to do that.
It feels very, very selfish somehow, doesn't it? Because you're always trying to, somehow it feels like you're trying to push your whatever it is you're selling, as you said. You're trying to push your sales on people.
You're trying to push something on people that they may not want. I also think that there's this whole idea of, you know, you're working the room, and it's all about like, what can I get out of somebody else? And it starts feeling like you're using people. And as I say, there's a dissonance, because I don't think that we really want to do that. And anyway, so I think that's why people really don't like it, and they're like, oh, no, I don't want anything to do with this stuff, which I think is really encouraging that people are like that. So that, I think, is the key problem with it.
And why do you think it's important to change that view?
Well, this kind of gets to the heart of the matter. I found that suddenly, when I started networking and when I started building this community for myself, suddenly my life got a lot better. My life got bigger. I started finding out about opportunities that I didn't even know existed. There are ideas that these amazing people around me were having that I was kind of plugging into, and we were together hatching all these crazy ideas, and none of that was happening before. So and then I speak to people. I mean, I've been training people in networking, you know, in person for a while now, and when I speak to those people, I find that it's a blockage. They could be doing so much stuff. I mean, they're doing amazing things, but nobody knows about it because they're not networked. So it's got all this potential, and I think we're losing out on it. And then the world is losing out on, you know, you or me or whoever is not sharing their stuff. So I think we're all a lot poorer if we don't network. I mean, there's another thing that I've just recently been reading about, which is that people thrive in communities. We're not meant to be alone in this kind of like the way that we sometimes feel that we are, you know, we're alone in our career, we're alone trying to be a freelancer or whatever. We're not happy like that. We're much happier when we're part of a community.
Yeah, so true. So true. So actually that's just reminded me, mentioning freelancers, that we of course have the freelancers group in Crystal Palace, which is really great as a way of us connecting. In fact, that's how we connected, wasn't it? I think.
Yeah, it was,
through there.
absolutely.
Yeah.
I've connected with a lot of people through there. I mean, this is part of the point earlier, is that, you know, I didn't really know how to do this, but then I moved around a lot. And then every time you land somewhere new, you don't know anybody. So when I landed in Penge 8 years ago, for about the first 3 or 4 years, I really didn't network locally. So I didn't know anybody. I was just going to my job somewhere else and just coming here to sleep, and life was okay, you know. And then I found the Crystal Palace freelancers and some of the other local groups as well, the Penge Tourist Board, and just started networking online mainly. And then I started meeting people for coffees, and then I started going to the jellies. And really quickly, I mean, it took like 3 months maybe, I suddenly could say hi to people on the street. And if I had a question about something, I could, you know, ping somebody a quick message, and life just changed for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. So you kind of started to answer my next question, which was, how do we change the view of networking and do something about it?
Okay, so this is it's kind of really simple, and it's kind of really easy. So, so one of the big things that I'm doing in my course, we start off with reframing networking. I just want to change how you think about it, and it's so fundamental. And yet, all you need to do is like do this little rethink of, why don't I like it? Okay, it's because of this, but actually, it doesn't have to be that way. So one of the key messages is, don't sell. This is networking. This is not sales. Different things, right? So that's one of the big reframes. It really isn't that. And what is it? It is just creating a little community for yourself, one that you feel happy. And that's all it is. It's just about reaching out to people who seem interesting. It's about, you know, keeping in touch with them. If, you know, it's about meeting new people, and some of those new people you're going to spark with, and others you're not, and that's fine. And you don't have to kind of pursue people like, I don't know, there's somebody in an important position and you kind of feel like you have to be linked to them. If they're an arse, no, you don't. You know, and it makes everything better just to kind of think about that. So yeah,
You make it sound very easy.
it is. This is the secret. This is the secret. It's so easy. It's about finding your comfort level to an extent that it allows you to be you. You're not trying to be anybody else. You're not trying to sell. You're not trying to do anything. Okay? You're just being there, being curious about people. That's all.
Amazing. So for anybody who's listening who, like me, has just had a dread of like networking, the word networking, for their entire life, and for whom this sounds like a good thing, you are in fact running a course that you're going to tell us about, I hope, in more detail.
I am, thank you. I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I've been working on this for weeks and weeks now. It's all built. It's an e-course now. It's built on the basis of these workshops that I've been running for 10 years. So, but it's obviously all had to be translated into an e-format, a home learning format. I had to find myself a platform. I found a nice platform for it. I've done my videos, I've written a lot of content. I also initially got way out of hand. It was really long. And I thought, I know people are short of time. I want to make it something that you can just kind of do in maybe a couple of hours and come out of it having learned something really valuable, something that will change how you work and how you do things. So yes, I've got a landing page that's all ready to go. It will tell you more, which you'll share the link, I'm sure.
It is already shared in the comments feed.
Great. And yeah, so then on the landing page, there's a little sign up sheet. So the course itself is not live yet. It's going to go live hopefully on the 25th of June, if not earlier, but I just want to test it, make sure it's all good. But in the meanwhile, you can just pop your email in there, and then whoever puts their email in there, I'm going to personally email them saying the course is up.
Awesome. Brilliant.
So yeah, I'm very excited about this course.
Fab. I'm going to get you to tell us about it a little bit, break it down a little bit, tell us what you're going to cover in a sec. But before you do, I just want to say hello to a few people who have joined. So we've got Lister, Jenny, B South London and Mandley joined us on Instagram. So welcome you guys, and Republic and Anya. Although I'm not sure which platform you're on, but welcome to all of you guys and anybody else whose name we can't actually see at the moment. If you've got any questions for Tanja, please do drop them in the comments and we will try and answer them as we go along. Cool. So Tanja, do you want to tell us a bit about the breakdown of the course and what you're actually going to cover?
Sure. So yes, first of all, as I say, there's going to be this big rethink, this big reframe of networking, get rid of all that old baggage, the stuff that kind of keeps us stuck. So getting rid of that, talking about what it is, what it isn't. Then I want to get people to create their own comfort zone, because we're all good at different things. So although I used to be quite shy, I was still quite chatty. So I could use that, but then not everybody has that. So it's about finding these methods and techniques that work for you personally. And let's say, also I'm going to be covering both in-person networking and, networking through all these different social media platforms and so on. So there's it's all the same, really. It's only you connecting with other people. So it's not going to be loads of, you must do it in this way or in that way, but it's more about, okay, so if you feel a little bit like it's hard for you to walk into the room, right? And it fills you with anxiety, then don't go alone. Take a friend. It's really just about suggesting things like this. Or, for example, if you're going to a conference for work, right? Maybe, eventually you're going to a different country, you're going somewhere you don't know, to this big event, you don't know anybody. You can't take a friend. So what do you do? So why don't you contact people beforehand? These days, there's often a WhatsApp group or a Facebook group, whatever gets set up. Have some lunches set up with people. And then that way you already know a few people before you arrive. And then you just feel much more comfortable. So that's the comfort side. Some of it is about, who should you be networking with? What kind of people should be in your network, a little bit of kind of the strategy. Building relationships. It's not good enough to just meet people and then go, nice to meet you, bye. because you don't build anything like that. So it's just about how, a lot of it is the hows. We all get told, do this, build relationships, and you're like, I don't know, how do I do that, right? So I'm actually giving you little tips how, for example, you shop somewhere. Some people are, what do I say to people, right? I don't know what to say. So I'll give you a few phrases, things that you can say that you can have up your sleeve. But there's another another secret really that I'm going to share, is that it's not about what you say. A lot of it is about just making that connection with the other person. So a lot of these things are not so important. So a lot of it is just about guiding you through a new way of thinking.
Yeah, interesting. Tell us a bit about that's sort of what you're going to do and kind of how you're going to do it. What would you say is your teaching ethos, or kind of your aims behind that, if that makes sense?
Yeah. I guess, as I say, as I've been teaching this live, I have realized it's a really difficult topic for a lot of people. There's a lot of baggage, there's a lot of anxiety, there's a lot of fear. So my teaching ethos throughout this has been really, I guess it's unthreatening. I wanted to make it fun. I got my brother to do some cartoons for it. It's really, I just want people to be comfortable, to start thinking about things in a different way. And I'm also just being really practical, because I've been there myself, and I've moved so many times. I've had to do this over and over and over and over again. So I'm sharing what's worked for me. I studied at one point. I thought, I'm just making this up. And I thought I should maybe actually go on some courses or study networking. So I did, and I studied it, and then that's where I found out all this kind of slightly icky stuff, and I was finding it a bit ethically gray. All this stuff about elbow your way to the front of the queue, and I thought, I don't believe in any of that. So I just went back to what had worked for me, and through the years I'm realizing it's really working for other people too. So it's practical and it's unthreatening.
Fab. I think when we've talked about this, because we talked about this a few times now, and for me, I think there's always been a couple of issues with networking in my head, and one is that it feels like such a big thing to walk into a room of strangers and feel like you have to present yourself in a way that people will want to I don't know, to buy your product, I guess, or whatever, and it feels like such a huge thing, such an enormous step that I can't possibly formulate how to do it.
So let's do a little experiment then. If you imagine like this situation that strikes fear and anxiety into you, now imagine that you're not selling anything, but you're there as a kind of curious observer to see who else is there and maybe find out about what they're doing. Does that make it any better?
It certainly takes the pressure off. I think my other fear is that my brain goes blank when I'm nervous. So I can envisage then walking into the room without the pressure of needing to make necessarily a good impression, but I still have the fear of ending up on my own in a corner, not having anything to say.
Well, okay, then again, I've got two little tricks and tips to help that. One of them is there's always some kind of table with coffee or wine or something. So you head to that, because that's where everybody goes, right?
Yes.
And then you hang out there. You don't bury your face in a phone, because otherwise you become unapproachable. I know. So you can have your coffee, and you can just kind of this takes a little bit of practice, but you can just kind of stand there and have a little bit of a drink, kind of look around. I mean, you can even pretend to be looking for a friend. I mean, who cares? Nobody knows, right? So you could just be there, and if somebody comes up to get another coffee, you can just smile at them, and normally they'll kind of say something to you, and then you can go, oh, this coffee is a bit strong, isn't it, or something, and then you're in a conversation.
Yeah.
And it can initially be about the coffee. It really doesn't matter. At that point, you are just making yourself feel comfortable.
Yeah. Oh, that's such a nice way of thinking about
Yeah.
it.
And then all you need to do is maybe say something to that person and say, oh, you know, what's your next project? What are you working on at the moment? And then you let them talk, so you don't even have to think about what to say.
Oh, that sounds awesome.
So there we go. And that's
Brilliant.
exactly why I did the course. That reaction is exactly why I'm doing the course.
Amazing. Thank you. Well, I'm certainly going to do it because everything you said about this when we've talked about it has made so much sense to me. And yeah, the whole reframing it in a different way. Yeah, I love that. I really love it.
Cool.
So just I'm just going to go back to one other thing that you said,
Mhm.
which was about your brother doing illustrations for you,
Mhm.
because you won't know this, but the couple of photos that you sent us are been on the video feed as we've been talking.
Okay, great.
So I think do you want to just explain what the two photos
Sure,
are?
I will do, yes, if they've already been shown. So the first one with the kind of purpley people in their little suits,
Kind of
and
dark
the business
grey.
cards are dark grey. Yeah, I'm not sure how it's coming across on the screen. That's kind of how a lot of people envisage networking at the moment, and how some people do it, because that's how it's been taught. And uncomfortable, slightly awkward kind of situation. And then the other one is the kind of networking that I'm trying to promote, where everybody's just a bit lighter, a bit more themselves. I think they're naked in it, but hey, that just means that you're yourself. You don't have to go naked networking. That's a step beyond. And so
it's a very different reaction.
Yeah. So it's really just about the feel of it. Yeah. So what my brother's captured is what I was trying to say is this difference in how we feel we should and how we can actually network. And we're that second orangey kind of happy networking picture is going to be so much more active. We're going to have so many more real, genuine connections that way than the first way. So
yeah.
It's just the kind of the before and after. Before you do my course, after you do my course.
Excellent.
Exactly.
Fab. And we just dropped your brother's website in there so that people can find us a bit more, but his name is different from yours. Do you want to just say
yes
how they can find out more?
Absolutely, yes. So my brother's called Henrik Mäkinen. He is both a photographer and an illustrator and animator. And if you've dropped in those two links, he's got an Instagram page thing, and then he's got his photography website. And if you like his stuff, you can just contact him through that. He's very talented.
Brilliant. And of course, anybody who does your course is going to see a bit more of his work.
Absolutely.
Well.
There's going to be a different all the chapters have been illustrated by him, so there'll be a little bit of video of me kind of explaining that particular chapter, and then there'll be his illustrations, some exercises to do, and things like that. So yeah,
fantastic. So we're sort of coming to the end of our time, and is there anything we haven't covered, I guess?
Well, I guess there's well, one thing I can think of is because I was kind of trying to think about the price for this, you know, when you set these things up, you've got to do this. Now, I want to make this kind of as available as possible. Certainly, you know, at the moment, lots of I know it can be a difficult time for a lot of people, so I'm going to open it as a pay what you can for now. Obviously, also I would love to get some feedback from people, things that work, things that don't work, stuff like that. So certainly for the local community, I'll probably be keeping it as a pay what you can for the time being. Depends on what the platform lets me do, but that's kind of going to be. There shouldn't be, you know, if and seriously, if all you can afford is to pay £1, then you pay £1. I really want this information to be out there. I want people to be enjoying the course and getting some real value out of it. Yeah.
For people who are kind of financially okay at the moment, do you have an idea in your head of what you would price it at if it was?
I
know that's a difficult question.
It is. Again, I partly want to find out a little bit if people want more or less, but I was having a kind of £50 kind of price point in my head. But
brilliant.
but yeah, I mean, it'll probably take about 2 hours to complete. But again, I'm not sure. It's really hard for me to say because people complete it at different things.
Yeah.
Some people spend more time on some sections than others.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
that's about it.
And
yeah.
it's also it's a lot of your time has gone into creating the videos and thinking about the course content and stuff. So it's about the work that's gone into it as much as how long it will take people to complete and
Yes,
things as
exactly.
well.
No, I mean, it's taken a long while. And I mean, if you think about it, I've poured in about 15 years worth of experience into that. So there's a lot there. And I really hope that people, I mean, whatever they end up paying for it, I hope that they find it gives them value, because if this can change how they view networking, they're going to do it more.
Yeah.
If you can enjoy it, and then that's just going to be life changing. So in some ways, I'm thinking also, it really isn't a lot if it's going to change how you do a particular type of thing.
Absolutely. And there is something I've been thinking about is about committing something that is slightly uncomfortable to something that you think could be life-changing, because then you really commit to doing it as well and sort of really following through on it.
Yes,
so this is something I've been slightly experimenting with, is actually going, I think this would be good for me to do. I feel slightly uncomfortable about the price, but actually that's not necessarily a bad thing, because if I do agree to pay that, then I really have to properly commit to it.
It is actually, it's a very, very good point. I did the same with my, I've always felt like I need some presentation training. And I thought, I am going to pay somebody, which was actually a local Crystal Palace freelancer as well, Kate Gilbert.
Oh yes, and she was on here a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. And and I said, right, I'm committing this money, and this means I'm going to do everything she says I have to do. And it does work. It really does work, because it forces a commitment out of you. I think what I might do is, this is an introductory networking course. So when I have the time and the energy after launching this, I may actually do a slightly more expensive but a more in-depth course as well. So kind of a follow on to that. But that's for later.
Brilliant. Great. Just very quickly going to say hello to Merlin Shoes and Sustenance Zero Waste, who have joined us on Instagram. So you've just joined in time for kind of the wrapping up, guys, but it's great to have you. So yeah, brilliant. Well, I'm really looking forward to this course, Tanja, and I definitely want to do it. I think that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. And I would love to have your feedback. So because things are always different online, aren't they? I mean, I've been running this for years and years in workshops and so on, but not having that feedback from from the person doing it, I'm kind of having to double guess. So do give me some feedback. That'd be great.
Brilliant. It's very different, isn't it, when you're not getting the immediate feedback in the room and the energy in the room and things.
Exactly.
Finding the same thing. Yeah.
Exactly.
Excellent. Oh, well, it sounds awesome. So all the best with it. And if anybody watching, if you're interested in doing Tanja's introductory course to networking, which is going to be launching probably in 10 days or so, I think, or maybe slightly more, 2 weeks.
Yeah.
There are links in the comments so that you can sign up to get the information about when it's going to start. And as Tanja and I were just talking about, it is, for the moment, it is pay what you can. So whatever is doable for you. So and it may not always stay that, so I'd highly recommend jumping on that while you can get it for what is doable, affordable for you right now. So Tanja, again, lovely to speak to you again.
Very nice to speak to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Just moving quickly into a few other things. As I'm sure you guys all know, we have a really big live streaming program. We'd love you to check it out and join us for a few more things. We have Covers Cafe tonight with Rin, and followed by DJ and PJs, I think. So please do join us for that. We've also got yoga and meditation and children's stories and singing and cross stitch with Alice and all sorts of things. Sadly, no more edible garden for the moment, but I hope you might come back at some point, Tanja, and do some more of that, because it was lovely.
Great, thank you.
We have some slots available for presenters. So if any of you fancy doing some live streaming yourselves, please do get in touch. And if you fancy being a guest on the live lunch and chatting to me about what you're doing at the moment, how you're surviving lockdown and how things are changing and so on, please get in touch. The email for both of those is info@unlt.org. We are just launching, the Library Hub is just launching a new project called All Alone Together. We very much want to hear from members of the community, anybody in our 4 immediate boroughs, so Croydon, Bromley, Southwark and Lambeth. If you live there and you'd like to tell us about how you are finding things at the moment, how COVID-19 has changed your life, that will help us to find maybe gaps that we can fill with services in the future. We're also looking for people to be interviewed by me so that we can actually make audio time capsules. So we want people to be able to hear the local community in their own words and voices telling us about their experiences of COVID-19. Imagine what it would be like if in a few decades you could bring your grandchildren to listen to you at the time explaining the story of kind of how it felt for you and stuff. So we're looking for people to come and talk to us about these things at the moment. On the Library Hub page, there is a very short survey that is a sort of initial way in. So if you'd like to fill that in, and then you have the option to say if you're interested in being interviewed by me as a slightly longer interview in your own words and voice. So please do get in touch with us about that. Finally, Disentangle Theatre Company, who run the Attic Arts Club every summer in the Upper Norwood Library Hub, they are looking for a workshop facilitator for the new Emerging Writers Programme, which sounds really, really exciting. If that's something that sounds of interest to you, please do have a look at their website, which is www.disentangle.org/news, and the information is there. And actually I think they've got another couple of jobs going. This is a paid job, and I think they have another couple going at the moment as well. So if that's your area, do pop along and have a look at that. That's it from me for today. I think I'm back with the live lunch on Monday, where I am going to be chatting to Catherine from All Bone and Trim It. She's got some very exciting photos of a couple of TV shows that she worked on. So she was creating costumes for some shows, and among other things, she's going to show us some pictures of what she was sent by the designer and then what she actually created and how she got from one to the other. So I think that sounds fascinating. If you're interested in kind of seeing perhaps how a bit of the backstage bit of TV, do tune in for that. Tanja, thank you so much for coming and chatting to me again today. It's lovely to talk to you.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure to be here with you.
Absolutely, you too. And have a good weekend, everybody, and we'll see you soon. Thanks very much. Bye for now.